Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Brighton's annual Women's History Month celebration. I'm Brighton Supervisor Bill Maley, and we're all pleased to have you here. We will shortly be hearing a panel of women in leadership positions in our community discussing their experiences and their observations based on those really outstanding careers in leadership here in the Rochester area. And I'm sure we're all going to learn some things, and that's why we gather on days like today. I do want to acknowledge our ASL interpreters. They are an important part of our effort to make sure we communicate equitably with all members of the community. I will ask everyone to stand if you're able to do so. If not, join me in standing in spirit for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The town of Brighton, this land that we're here on today, was land of the Haudenosaunee people. The Haudenosaunee were a matrilinear society. Children belonged to the clans of their mothers. Haudenosaunee women controlled the cultivation of the so-called three sisters of the agricultural economy of the Haudenosaunee: corn, beans, and squash. And they held great political power within the community, to the point that clan mothers typically selected the chiefs of the clans. So as we celebrate Women's History Month today, we should truly, it's more important than ever, that we remember and honor the important role of women in the culture of the Haudenosaunee. The Haudenosaunee were the original keepers of this land, and we acknowledge that Brighton is situated on those ancestral and traditional lands of the Onondaga tribe of the Haudenosaunee people, whom we recognize and respect as the traditional custodians of this land throughout the generations. We pay our respect to the Onondaga elders, and particularly the important Onondaga women elders, both past and present. The history, the culture, and the traditions of the Onondaga are truly worthy of our understanding and our study, and we praise those who keep those traditions alive. We recognize that the study and understanding of Onondaga history, culture, and traditions, and especially the role of women in their history, culture, and traditions, is of ongoing importance if we are to truly understand our own history, culture, and traditions. We support efforts to ensure that we and future generations continue to respect and recognize the Onondaga in a way that is honest and truthful, so that, in the words of Sakajawata, the great Haudenosaunee chief and orator, who was also known as Red Jacket, we may always work together to brighten the chain of friendship. It's great to have you all here. I do want to introduce Councilmember Clara Sanguinetti, who is with us today. And obviously we have a great team of speakers that we are going to be hearing from as we go on further. I do first want to read this proclamation. This is a proclamation that the town board issued on March 11th at our town board meeting. For those of you that weren't here or weren't watching, let me read it for you. Whereas the month of March is recognized nationwide as Women's History Month, a time to celebrate the achievements, leadership, and contributions of women who have helped shape our nation, our state, and our local communities. Whereas the town of Brighton is strengthened by the leadership, service, and accomplishments of women who contribute every day as elected officials, educators, healthcare professionals, business leaders, community advocates, volunteers, and engaged residents. And whereas Women's History Month provides an important opportunity to reflect on the progress made towards gender equality, recognize the contributions of women, both past and present, and encourage future generations to continue building inclusive and equitable communities. Whereas the town of Brighton is proud to honor the women whose dedication, resilience, and leadership help make our community a vibrant and welcoming place to live, work, and learn. And yes, raise a family and retire, as our friend Supervisor Sandy Frankel always reminds us. Now, therefore, I do proclaim and I call upon all residents to recognize and celebrate the many contributions that women, including trans women, have made and continue to make in strengthening our community and shaping a better future for all. And be it further proclaimed that I, Brighton Town Supervisor William W. Maley, along with the members of the Brighton Town Council, join in the recognition of the month of March as Women's History Month in the town of Brighton, and call upon all residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to join in celebrating the contributions and accomplishments of women in our community and throughout history. And I further encourage all residents to reflect upon, celebrate, and honor the vital contribution of women who continue to shape our community and strengthen our shared futures. This proclamation was actually read at the board meeting by council members Sanguinetti and Corrado, but it was signed by all of the members of the Brighton Town Board. Next, it is my great honor to introduce, although she is truly a woman who needs no introduction, but we're going to do it anyway because Sandy Frankel, former Brighton Supervisor Sandy Frankel, is someone that I have known and have been proud to call my friend for more years than either one of us would care to admit to. Sandy served as supervisor of the town of Brighton for 20 years, from 1992 through 2011. As I mentioned, she was the first woman and the first Democrat ever to serve as Brighton Town Supervisor. In 1998, Sandy was nominated by the New York State Democratic Party to be statewide candidate for lieutenant governor, running with Peter Vallone, who was running as governor, running for governor that year. As supervisor, Sandy was an outspoken advocate for open space and open government. She expanded Brighton's park system from almost nothing to a system with over 400 acres of active and passive recreation areas owned by the town. She also led the way in opening up town government to the public, instituting many new initiatives to ensure that town government would be truly accessible to all residents. Sandy will be sharing her remarks on Women's History Month today, and then she will be moderating this great panel of speakers we're going to be hearing from. So please welcome former Supervisor Sandra L. Frankel. Sandy?
First, let me say how delighted I am to be here with all of you. Thank you for coming and for sharing in and celebrating Women's History Month and the remarkable women in our community and beyond who have made our places of home and work and recreation the places that we find so inspiring and so important in our lives and for our families. I started my career as a speech-language pathologist, and from that perspective, helping other people, doing service in the community was a foundational start to my career. Unbeknownst to me, Bill Maley was instrumental in what came later. I served on the Brighton School Board and in leadership positions, including the County School Boards Association, for about 8 years overall. And then one day I got a call from Bill, who said, "Hey, what do you think about running for supervisor?" I said, "I have not done anything with the town. I don't know that you're really calling the right person." He said, "Think about it." I took about a month, talked with my husband, Neil, and I decided to try it, not because I really thought that I could win necessarily in a town that was at that time Republican majority, but because I was concerned about some of the changes that I saw happening in the community, fraying at the edges, going in a somewhat negative direction, and I knew we could be better. So I thought I'll add my voice to it, and even if I don't win, I will have put some ideas out there for people to think about. I ran. I almost won. Election night, they said I did, but the next morning they said I didn't. They counted the absentee ballots, and that's what did it. And we knew from then on how important it was to really campaign, not only for people who were here in person voting on election day, but in communicating with those who were voting absentee. So 2 years later, I ran again, and I won. And the accomplishments that Bill outlined were not accomplishments that I accomplished alone. You can't do that without a community, without a team. And so public service, which has always been part of my work life and my belief system, it was really something that we embraced. We knew that we had to work across the aisle in a bipartisan way. I took to heart the information that I had learned early in the 1970s, a study that was done by a group that looked at women's leadership in business. 3M had a model. Corporations had other models. The one that they had was that leadership for women, women's leadership style was collaborative. It was communicative. It was working from the ground up, supporting the people who were there working with you, not for you specifically, but with you to achieve shared goals. And that's something that I know that the women will be hearing from today, do naturally and in their day-to-day lives, and that we also rely on women going forward, our daughters, our granddaughters. We've got a legacy to continue, and I'm proud to be part of that tradition of encouraging future leaders, current leaders, to work together in mentorship to make sure that our community and our country is better every day. Thank you.
Sandy talks about mentorship. I can assure you that Sandy does not limit her mentorship to women, because Sandy has been one of the great mentors in my life. Thank you very much for that.
And I would say that I would not have been able to do what I did as supervisor for 20 years without your being by my side as the attorney to the town for 18 of those 20 years.
Thank you very much. It was
So-
it was a great team. It was a great collaboration.
Absolutely.
And thank you for that. We do have a panel today that I know are going to give you some great insights. Let me introduce them now. Amy Stein. Amy is the Executive Director of the Rochester Education Foundation. The REF's mission is to provide programs and resources to improve learning and success for all Rochester City students through partnerships with educators, businesses, and the community. Amy is nothing if not committed to social justice. She serves on the board and is past president of the local chapter of the National Council of Jewish Women. She serves on the board of Tempro, which serves families facing housing insecurity in the Rochester area. Also LACE, the Language Acquisition and Cultural Exchange, along with involvement in many other organizations. Amy holds a bachelor's degree from Hofstra University in Hempstead, down on Long Island, and a master's degree from Hebrew College in Boston. Please welcome Amy Stein. Chetna Chandrakala, CPA, serves as the Chief Financial Officer of Oak Orchard Health Center in Brockport. Oak Orchard is, and one of the great things about getting to do this is learning more about the people that I know and the ways that they serve the community. Oak Orchard is a federally qualified health center. I did not know what an FQHC was until I had the privilege of reading your background, Chetna. Oak Orchard has grown into an integrated health system that serves 34,000 patients at 11 locations. She also served as Senior Vice President of Finance and Compliance of the Greater Rochester Independent Practice Association and Cognizite for 13 years. Chetna has a Bachelor's of Law degree from Sri Ram College of Commerce in India. She is, as I mentioned, a CPA. She completed the executive management course from the Graduate Business School at the University of Chicago and has certifications from the Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants. Like all of our panelists today, she serves on a number of boards, including United Way, the Al Siegel Center, the YMCA, the Rochester Fringe Festival, and the Hindu Temple of Rochester. And again, like all of our panelists, has been recognized in many ways by the community, including as an Athena Award finalist in 2023. Chetna Chandrakala. Dr. Christine Richards is the founding CEO and founding principal of Green Tech Rochester. Again, great opportunity doing this to learn more about organizations that are changing the world right here at home. This is Rochester's first all-boys elementary charter school. Fascinating and a great dynamic here today of women's history and yet this role, which I know we're going to hear more about. Dr. Richards holds her doctorate in executive leadership from St. John Fisher University. Again, she is a member of many professional organizations, including Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, the Black Women's Leadership Forum, and the Greater Rochester MLK Commission. She is also co-founder of BSB, Beautiful Shades of Brown, a mentoring, again, that word mentoring, and we heard about collaboration and how those pieces all fit together. But BSB is a mentoring and social skills development, community-based organization for young women. Dr. Christine Richards, thank you. And again, the panel will be moderated by former Supervisor Sandy Frankel. So please join us here, and Sandy has questions, and we'll get her started.
We're going to start the program now, the participation part, with Amy. My first question. The mission of the Rochester Education Foundation is to provide programs, and resources to improve learning and success for all Rochester City students through partnerships and educators, businesses, and the community. Much like other nonprofit organizations, this is a noble cause and one that seeks to uplift the greater Rochester community. Talk to us about the idea of community uplift in terms of women and the historical relevance of women in leadership who commit to such. Amy?
I think if we look at so many of the women's organizations that exist now and were ones that were popular in the past, again and again and again, those organizations are there to serve the community, to help others. Very rarely are they just having a little party for themselves, right? Always and often it is about women, families, and children, again and again. In fact, Sandy is one of my mentors. Thank you very much. I think like all of us can go around and say that, right? But we have both served as past president of the National Council of Jewish Women local chapter here in Rochester, where the mission is to improve the quality of life for women, children, and families. So again, it's often true. And if I look at my own organization at the Rochester Education Foundation, it's about the individual people. Why wouldn't we want to uplift individuals? Uplifting somebody else is great for them, but it's also good for us. A little plug. If you were to choose to, say, go online to rochestereducation.org and watch our 5-minute video, one of the things that you'll see is a feature of a young man named Jashanti Henry, and REF gave him his first flute when he was in the 4th grade. And then later, he was excelling at flute, and he was going to become a musician professionally. He did go off to Eastman, and before doing so, received a flute of a high quality from REF as a musical award winner. He went to Eastman. He graduated from Eastman. Today, he is a musician in New York City, playing in the Philharmonic and at many pits in Broadway. So it's great that we uplifted this young man, Jashanti, but who was the winner? Was it Jashanti or was it all of us? And let's think about some of those kids that are getting something special in science who wouldn't have. Who is going to help us cure different diseases and so on and so on. So as we uplift and as women look to uplift others, it is not only about the individual but the entire community.
Thank you, Amy. Chetna. Studies show the number of women in financial services who reach the highest levels of leadership, the C-suite, is rising. Over the past decade, more women have been added to financial services C-suites than men. As a woman who has fared well in the realm of financial leadership, what steps would you offer women who have an interest in advancing in financial leadership?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm so honored to be here with all of you, and thank you all for coming here on a beautiful sunny day. It's cold outside, but it's sunny, so we will take that. I want to say that for any women or anyone who wants to pursue finance and accounting, it is something that you need to feel for. So you will not going to get it because that's going to be a good a profession, or it's going to you will get to leadership position really quickly. But I remember my days of when I was in 8th grade, and I thought, what do I want to do with my life? And I just envisioned myself in a large company, big boardroom, with men sitting around and trying to tell me what to do. And I said, no, I want to tell everyone around me how we will get there. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's what got me to finance. career. So what I would advise is education is extremely important. So we need to know, and today here in USA, we are so fortunate that we have colleges that offer internships, offer chances to really try out what you want to do and how you like it. So definitely people, when they decide what they want to do, take a course, do an internship, really figure out that this is what you want to do. Because learning the skill set of accounting is extremely important. And if you're envisioning yourself to be a leader a few years down the road, you have to work your way up. And you have to know the basics. And you have to know how you're doing it, because only then you can supervise people and you can understand what they're coming. Just getting a balance sheet in front of you doesn't give you, just knowing about it, you would not be successful as a leadership position. But if you've done it and you've done it well, then you will be a great person to really understand what you are going to do. So I would say that having education, having the technology, do not ever fall behind on technology. It's knowledge of these softwares that you could use, the platforms that you could use, and be with the world where we are today. So that's extremely important. So continuous learning and self-advocacy is the most important thing. Do not short yourself. Always be proud of what you do and be confident of what you do. Let's stop there.
Thank you. Christine?
Yes.
You have a unique market position, serving as the principal and CEO of the first all-boys STEM-focused charter school, Green Tech Rochester. Women in STEM, meaning science, technology, engineering, and math, continue to be underrepresented. Why is that? Is there a message Green Tech Rochester is sending out through your leadership in an all-boys STEM-centered school?
Well, thank you for that question, and I too would like to also echo Chetna's sentiments. Thank you so much for having us here. We're honored to be here with you today. So I think the women in STEM, it's how we approach our young girls, right, and our young ladies in those fields. I think so often, if they're not introduced to them the right way or they're not approached the right way, they fear those fields. And it's not to say that everyone is going to be the greatest at, any of the STEM-focused fields, but I think give them the opportunity to play and to learn. What does that look like at very young ages? We know that children at young ages are fearless. That is a time to expose them to as many complicated and complex matters as possible: math, engineering, science, things that typically women are like, I don't want to do because I don't have an interest in it, right? Or is it that they had no one in their life that was focused on those different fields, and they didn't draw them close to them. So I think if we look at how we approach our young ladies, or they're introduced to those fields, I think that will help shift and change, make them fun. Learning needs to be fun for our children. I think so often people think of, when they think of children in school, as sitting with your hands straight and don't move, and you can't walk out of line, you can't go left if you're being told to go right. But make learning fun. That's what makes children want to come to school and to stay. So if we look at those fields that are typically difficult in nature, we find a fun way to introduce them, especially to our young girls, I think that will increase. And I think one of the things that Green Tech is saying with the leadership of a woman at all males, the Rochester's first all-male elementary charter school, is that women can lead in any arena. We can lead anywhere. We just need to be there to show our skills, to show that we have the ability to lead. And anytime that you're leading as a leader, right, you need to know how to cultivate and bring those along with you. So really, I don't have to be a scientist or engineer by background, which I am not. I will be the first to say that maybe those, again, as I thought that first part of that question, how was I introduced, right, to math and to science and to technology? And I remember as a young student, first off, like, I hate math, I hate science. And I will never forget my science teacher, who looked and said, come sit with me. And she exposed me to different experiments, right? That kind of opened my eyes to different things. Didn't mean I went into that field. However, she introduced me to different programs that taught me how to enjoy those fields. So I think women can lead in any arena as long as we know how to cultivate the team, right? If I'm not the expert in this particular part of the field, then I need to have the expert sitting next to me. And I'm going to learn and glean from them just as much as they're learning and gleaning from me and bringing them along as I go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, we have a question that is the same question for all of the panelists. Harvard Business Review notes women leaders excel at both agentic and communal leadership behaviors. I had to look up the definition of agentic. Just so for those of you who may not be familiar with that word, the definition is that one acts independently, proactively, and with purpose to achieve goals versus not merely responding to commands. And so we are talking here about how we approach issues and problem solving and how it relates to the community we work in and live in. 3 additional leadership behaviors are often assigned to women, and those include developing strong relationships and well-rounded collaborations, setting goals and being ready to pivot, taking initiative and driving results. Can you each name 2 additional leadership behaviors traditionally aligned with women in leadership? How have these additional traits aided women in their ascension to leadership? Amy?
Well, really, I think that we know that we move and succeed at the speed of trust. So I'm going to go back a little bit to those relationships. I think that when we try to get something done, the first thing that we are going to do, especially as women, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is who can help me get this done? And the me is often us. Who can help us get this done? We want to take the goal on as the end result, and we want to figure out really who are we going to partner with? How are we going to make this happen? I know for us at REF, our table is big. Our paid staff is teeny tiny, but our impact is on more than 20,000 students. And you can't do that by yourself. You must do that in partnership with folks. I surround myself constantly, present company very much included, with people that are smarter than me, people that know things, people that can contribute and help in a way. So really, it is about those relationships. It is about that collaboration. I think that, Bill, you alluded to in the beginning that that's what women do. We want to figure it out together so that we get to the end together.
Thank you. Chetna?
I would say bridging the gap through generations or working with a multi-generational force, being a woman, being in any environment or situation, being able to work with someone very young and someone like who's very new to the workforce and someone who's very experienced and has been there for a long time, to bridge that gap and to have that ability to understand who brings what and how, to your point, who do I go to ask for help, but then to be able to recognize that because we are so used to running a family, a household, we know how to work with our parents, we know how to work with our children, and that's what you have got to apply in your environment. So I would say that my daughter, when she was in her teens, she taught me something that I would never forget and would always apply to in my corporate world. She's coming home in the car and just ranting away and telling me stories about what happened today. And then I'm trying to oh, so you should do this, you should do that. And she said, no, Mom, stop it. just be there to listen to me. Just understand, just be there to support me and hear it out. I'm very smart. I can take decisions. I will do it. You don't have to give me a guidance. So then that made me learn, like, how do I deal with my mentees at work or my subordinates or my coworkers at work? You got to sometimes just pay attention. And so that gave me that encourage, like, how do I work with them? And at the same time, like, really listening to your parents or your elders in the family, you don't go to them with a problem, you go to them with a solution. So it kind of flips. So then you know that you go to your boss and explain to them what you're facing. At the same time, you better have a solution to that problem in your pocket to give it to them. So I think if all of that just intersects our work. We spend so much time. I always say my work family is my first family because I spend majority of the day with them. And my family actually teaches me how to do that. So I think that's what women really bring to workforce, which I feel that's a very important skill.
Thank you. Christine?
I think I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what Chadna said, and what I look at it as the umbrella of applying some family values. I, too, as well, think of my work family as family, right? Because we're oftentimes, even outside of the general work hour, we're with those people doing various things. So when you talk about being able to balance, right, that strong resilience, because we do balance a lot. And the organization is key because you're balancing the family, you're balancing the work, you're balancing the additional organizations and parts of the community that you're a part of. And I learned early on to bring the family right along. Right? They become part of whatever that community work that's being done. So we definitely have to bring that strength and that resilience to being able to balance that. And I think as well as the empowerment of others, with women, we are very great at empowering others and bringing them along. And we heard so many different things in terms of the word mentorship, right? Because at some point, somebody else needs to be able to do this job. Whether or not I'm passing it along and I'm moving to something different, or I want them to kind of continue that legacy behind me. So being able to empower others and to teach them what it is that I'm doing as well, so they can not only learn how to do it, but do it better. Because we always want those coming behind us, especially with my daughters. I want you to do things better than I did, right? Because if we're doing it the same old way, then that's the problem. But as you grow with me, then you should be able to continue that legacy on and do things even better. So that empowerment is huge.
Thank you so much. I think we've heard some wonderful insights and guidance that we can all take with us today. Women who follow their passion, who recognize their talents, who listen and learn and know how important education is, who surround themselves with the best and the brightest, because we all know that we know what we know, but we may not know what we don't know, and we better listen to find some of those answers elsewhere. And that we also, though it hasn't been said, are risk takers, that we have a level of confidence that we should try. Even if we fail, we can learn from those failures and be better for it and grow. So this has been a wonderful opportunity to hear from all of these incredible women in our community. And I do want to ask Miriam if we have time for questions from the audience, or if we need to move along. Okay, she says we can have a few questions. So, any questions? Someone. Yes.
Dr. Richard, so
Yes.
how long has Green Tech been around, and just a little more about where it's located?
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. So the question was, how long has Green Tech been around and kind of where we're located? So Green Tech is brand new. We are opening our doors this fall, September of 2026. So we're in the planning stages as we speak. And I promise you, it's a wonderful labor of love. So we're new. We're taking in kindergarten and first graders. Our plan is to be located at 30 Hart Street, above ABC, which is kind of in this kind of heart downtown area of Rochester, if you're familiar with Hart Street. And again, looking to bring 150 kindergarten and first graders on, and to create an environment where they feel seen, heard, hands-on learning. They're able to be boys, and they learn how to learn within that structure and that environment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Miriam?
I wondered if one of the panelists quickly could talk about acts of countering spaces that are male-dominated, right? I mean, that's matter of fact, that's something that continues to be sustained with grace. How do you do it?
I can start with a little example. When I was a new supervisor in Brighton, there were 2 other women who had become supervisors in their own towns, but their other professional work didn't always allow them to be at meetings of the Monroe County Supervisors Association. At my first meeting, I was the only woman present, and one of the supervisors made a motion which I thought made a lot of sense, so I seconded it. One of the other gentlemen in the room quickly raised his hand and said, "I double second that." Why? The message to me was, one, maybe my second didn't count, or didn't count as much because I was a woman, or because they were all Republicans and I was a Democrat. I don't know what their motivation was. I'll never know what that was. But that put me on par with the rest of them in the room, so that going forward, we were all able to laugh about it and to work together and to achieve some good things for the whole county community. And the other example is when I was campaigning, I would sometimes have a question, can a woman really do this job? You know, are you really going to be up to this? And I said, if Golda Meir, Margaret Thatcher, and Indira Gandhi could all lead countries, surely a woman could run the town of Brighton. And that kind of put that to rest. So those are my examples.
You know, I like to add a little bit to that. I think we just need to continue to show up in spaces, even whether or not there's a seat at the table, right? Bring our own chair or create a spot to just stand. And I think once we continue to do that, to show that we have the skills, that we have the same wherewithal to do that job that may traditionally have been a male's job, I think to Sandra's point, they will start to listen and take women seriously and understand that we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay, but definitely continue to show up in those spaces. They can only tell you no if you're there.
Can I build on that? So when I started working with GRIPA, which is part of the Rochester Regional Health, and I was presenting at the finance committees of board meetings, everyone around me is not even of my color or gender. So I'm the only person. I'm looking at people around me, and I'm thinking, how do I change this? And I can't ask, or I can't self-advocate, or I cannot do this. So I really followed what you are telling people. Create your external network. Go out there, put yourself out there. Do not be shy of putting yourself out there. So I started volunteering for organizations, being on the boards of different organizations where I could learn and I could contribute. Mm-hmm. And that's where I made the space. And then people in my company, they recognized if she could do it outside, she can do it here. And then I got to be elevated in the organization for faster than I could. So I think that was pretty key for women who don't want to take chances or risks. Please take that, and please be out there and bring your chair.
Absolutely.
And I would just say, I think it's our responsibility to lift each other up, right back to the beginning. But as women, we need to point a really strong finger at each other and to the community to say, look what she's doing. I mean, for real, we got to do that.
Miriam, I think you're up. Or Bill.
Thank you.
What a great presentation. What the thoughts that went into those answers, and certainly, again, the impact as a man of hearing those answers and the relevance to men, but for leaders in general, really, really powerful. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We now, I want to acknowledge with great respect, many of you have been to a number of our events that have been chaired and organized by Dr. Miriam Moore, our Chief Diversity Officer. The work that Miriam does is core to our overall work product, as we talked about at the beginning. Because Brighton is a diverse community, it is important that we act like it, that we lift up, again, those communities, and that we have leaders who are prepared and skilled in doing that. So the town hired Miriam as our Chief Diversity Officer as an outgrowth of our IDEA plan, our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Plan. And since that time, Miriam has been leading the charge, leading our volunteer IDEA board, but a slightly different name behind those letters, Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, so that we can implement the tenets of the plan and bring all members of the community into the understanding of the great benefits of a diverse community like Brighton. So we will conclude with remarks from Miriam.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Really, really brief remarks here. Ascension to the C-suite, the executive level of leadership for women is not easy. It's not. It's plagued with ill assumptions about who's who, what a leader looks like, whose voice is valued, who brings something more than the soft skills, who's bossy versus who's a strong leader. Women's History Month reminds us of the sustained disparities and the countless barriers women have been challenged with: gender equality for a balanced economy with fair wages, health rights, and the lack of representation of women in the political realm, and the science, technology, engineering, and math. If you are a woman in a leadership role with the town of Brighton, can you just wave your hand? Thank you. If you are a woman who serves within the town of Brighton, can you wave your hand? As we close this out, I want you women to know that you are seen, you are heard, and you know what? Your contributions matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and thank you again for putting this and so many other of the events together and really making them work for the broader community. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you to our entire panel. Again, the insights have been very valuable today. It's March 27th. We're nearing the end of March, nearing the end of Women's History Month. But, of course, the reality is that while we celebrate March as Women's History Month, we can truly celebrate and frankly be very grateful. We are very fortunate that our community has women such as these, such as you, as leaders in our community, in our town government, not just in March, but every day, 365 days, 12 months out of the year. Women are leaders in all components of our community. Social service organizations, political organizations, and government organizations, business organizations. In a community like ours, we move forward. In a country like ours, we move forward because of the leadership of women. Let's make sure that women are seen, that women have a seat at the table, that women's voices continue to be heard, listened to, and followed. Thank you all for joining us today. Enjoy this beautiful sunshine. Thank you.
Bill, refreshments.
Oh, yes, there are refreshments, by the way, outside. And also good conversation, good follow-up to today's discussion.